Sri Lanka, a country rich in timeless ruins, picture-perfect beaches, and a wild variety of amazing wildlife. Follow me on my 10-day adventure through this beautiful island in the Indian Ocean as I discover some of the most beautiful sights in this country. After arriving at the airport, I made my way to a village called Habarana, which is situated at the central part of the country. Since my hotel check-in was not until late, I took a detour and ended up visiting some of the most beautiful rice fields near a reservoir in Dambulla. The sunrise that morning was spectacular. It was the perfect start to my trip. My stay for the next few days was at a resort in Habarana. I paid around $20 for a double room with breakfast. After a short nap, I made my way to the nearby village to see how people live in this part of the country. It was part of a package where they take you on a bullock car ride to the village where the locals prepare lunch for the tourists. It wasn't particularly exciting until I got hands on my first ever Sri Lankan meal. The meal was fairly simple with rice, bread, some vegetable dishes and a fish fry. The lady showed us how they make bread we just had and even involved me in making one. It was almost time for me to leave the village and make my way to Minaria National Park. Minaria is known for its elephant population. There is a 100% chance to encounter these mighty animals during the visit. Alright, so we managed to see elephants right here. Super beautiful. First elephant of this trip. Awesome. After seeing the first elephant, my hopes to see more elephants got higher, and within the next few minutes, I was rewarded with one of the most beautiful sights, a baby elephant feeding on a mama elephant. Elephants are funny animals to watch. This one in particular wasn't very happy to see us, and he kept showing his back towards us. Towards the end of the day, we witnessed a group of elephants playing with mud. I wasn't sure what exactly they were trying to do. It was fun to watch. It was almost time for sunset, so I decided to get off the jeep and watch the sunset by the hill. It's one of the best spots to see the sunset in the park. I made my way back to the hotel after the sunset.
This is day 3 in Sri Lanka, and the first thing we did today was to climb the Katarangama rock. It's a rock right by the Sigiriya. That is the main attraction. That's where we are here. And it was around half an hour hike. It was a fairly easy hike. Not too bad. We had to pay around 500 rupees, Sri Lankan rupees for the entry. So that's not too bad compared to the $30 for the cigarette itself. Yeah, and expecting a nice sunrise. I'm not really sure how that's gonna turn up because as there is a bit of clouds covering the horizon, but there's a bit of mist going around, so that's promising. I can't wait to fly the drone. Yeah, all in all, exceptional location. I mean, look at this view, amazing. Okay, so looks like we have few visitors. I just fed them with some sandwich, some tomato sandwich, and yeah, they were good boys. Now I'm having a nice view with the boys. There's another one here. Come on, boys, say hi. Look at it. They're being really good boys. Very patient. Yeah, I think we are done for Katarangama Rock. All in all, amazing views. Like now, the sun is really shining up on the rock, the Sigiriya rock. It's beautiful.
After the hike, I made my way to Kandy, which is around a couple of 100 kilometers from Sigiriya. On my way, I took a pit stop at Dambulla to see the famous cave temple.
There's this massive statue of Buddha here, so I'm gonna check out this place. And yeah, just really hopeful. I've never been to a Buddhist monastery, so I'm really excited for that. Alright, so there is a steep climb to the top of the temple, top of the rock temple, which I wasn't aware of.
After 20 minutes of walking uphill, I realized the ticket counter was at the bottom of the hill. So I decided to give the cave temple a pass and made my way to Kandy. If you are ever in this area and want to visit the cave temple, keep that in mind and don't make the mistake I made. Kandy is a large city surrounded by mountains in central Sri Lanka. For most tourists, Kandy is the starting point of the famous train ride to Ella. After watching a beautiful sunset over the city from the hotel terrace, I reached out to the receptionist for the train ticket, as I didn't have any reserved tickets for the train ride. So I ended up paying 4 times the price to get the ticket. Later on, I found out if I queued up the very morning, I could have got it for the normal price. So something to keep in mind for future travelers if you ever plan to do this trip. In the heart of Sri Lanka, you will find one of the most scenic train rides from Kandy to Ella. The ride itself is a 7-hour long ride through lush green tea plantations, rolling rice terraces, and endless mountain view. After the initial confusion of getting onto the correct compartment, I got settled in for a long ride. The ride gets particularly interesting after reaching Nuwara Elia, where the train slows down and right through the lush winter country. I wish there was a pit stop here for a quick photograph. I felt like Nuwara Elia was a worthy place to stay for a couple of days. Maybe that's for the next time. After 9 hours, I finally managed to check into my Airbnb in Ella.
Good morning, guys. It's a new day here in Ella. They call it Alle, but I think it's spelled as Ella, E-L-L-A. And yeah, that is where I am staying. It's a place called Pepper Cottage. It's around 15 kilometers from the Ella town center. And yeah, just walk up to this view. The sunrise is happening right over there, but the clouds are covering the sun, so there is not much light coming up. But that's okay. I'm just gonna fly the drone and see what this place is all about.
Ellu was the perfect place for me to unwind. Surrounded by rolling hills, abundant wildlife by the doorstep, I spent that morning wandering around the property and taking it all in. I spotted some grizzled giant squirrel just outside the garden, feeding on some fruits. For a squirrel, it was quite big, weighing around 1.3 kilograms. These are found mostly in Sri Lanka and South India. I spotted some yellow-fronted barbet by the garden too. After hiring a bike from the homeowner, I made my way to the famous 9-Out Bridge near the town center. It is probably the most Instagrammed place in Sri Lanka. It was flooded with tourists as expected. I felt like everyone was after that perfect Instagram shot. Some time on the tea plantation facing the bridge, I called it a day and went back to my hotel. The next day, I hopped on a local bus to Katarangama, which is located at the southeast part of Sri Lanka. Local buses are very budget friendly. I paid around 300 rupees for a 3-hour journey. That's around $2 to $3. It was already evening by the time I got to my hotel. I went for a quick stroll to the nearby temple. Katarangama is a Hindu and Buddhist pilgrimage. There were so many locals taking part in rituals at the temple. After witnessing some rituals, I made my way back to the hotel. I left the hotel early morning for a wildlife safari. Katarangama is home to Sri Lanka's most visited national park, Yala National Park. This is a leopard country. With leopard density more than anywhere on this planet, these predators roam around the park freely along with other animals.
Good morning guys, I'm here at Yala National Park, Sri Lanka. So today we took a 12-hour safari tour in the Yala National Park, and we are at this beautiful beach. It's a wild beach. You're not supposed to get into the beach or anything. So we stopped here for breakfast. The driver is preparing our breakfast, so he told us to just go for a walk and see. He just made sure we can't get into the water. Apparently it's very deep. So this morning we left our hotels at around 5:30, and the morning time was so beautiful. We saw so many beautiful birds, some reptiles, elephants and all that. Such a good start to the day. Really looking forward to the breakfast and see what this day got to offer. I'm really hoping to see the leopards, but since it's not dry season, it's not that easy to see a leopard, but I'm hopeful. The driver said he saw one 3 days ago, so that's a good sign. Anyway, I'm just gonna go walk around the beach and let's see.
Shapes and colors spin this kaleidoscope I'm in, and suddenly the pieces make sense. Puzzles fell apart, and I saw stories in the stars. There's so much more to find than where I've been. Oh, the world turns and turns and turns alone. Yeah, the world turns and turns and turns alone. Oh, the world turns and turns and turns alone. Yeah, the world turns and turns and turns alone. And I know it won't stop. I know it won't.
Later on that day, our driver spotted a fully grown adult leopard by the dirt track. By the time we drove towards the leopard, he was gone. Thankfully, I managed to get a quick few shots. It was our lucky day as we spotted 2 more leopards that evening. Leopards generally avoid humans. That's why it's hard to get close to them. They have learned how to camouflage themselves very well. Here is an interesting sight of a crane getting a free ride. For a second I thought the land is moving. Then I saw the water buffalo. This is a perfect example of 2 species living in harmony. Yala National Park exceeded my expectation. The amount of wildlife you get to see here is exceptional. I can only imagine how it will be during dry season. It was time for me to leave this part of Sri Lanka and make my way to south to finally hit the beaches. After a 3-hour journey on a local bus, I made it to the recently popular surf destination, the Hiriketia beach. Hikaru is a super chilled and welcoming town set in a stunning tropical cove in the far southern edge of Sri Lanka. This laid-back little town is swiftly turning into a mecca for surfers. Stay for the night was by a nearby beach called Nilvela. The Airbnb was right by the beach. All I had to do was to open the gate and go to the beach. The very next morning, I woke up early to catch the sunrise. After a quick 2 minutes walk, I ended up in one of the most picturesque locations of the trip.
Such an incredible sight, guys. Such an incredible sight. And this place is literally 1 minute away from where we are staying.
I felt like this is a hidden gem, as there was absolutely no one else on that beach. The sunrise was spectacular, probably the best of the trip. It's moments like these makes waking up early worth it. I decided to stay back for a couple more days here in Hikaru, exploring the beach town. I only had a few more days left in Sri Lanka, so I decided to take it slow, get some good food and chill by the beach. Later on, I hopped on a bus to my last destination, Hikaru. Hikaru is a small town in southwest part of Sri Lanka. It is a 40-minute drive from the famous beach town of Untitled down south. It's more of a budget-friendly backpackers area with a lot of budget hotels and guest houses. Hikaru is a hotspot for surfers and is famous for its coral sanctuary. The main reason I chose this destination is because of its budget-friendly options to stay. When I think of Sri Lanka, the first picture that comes to my mind is of the stilled fishermen by the beach. I always wanted to photograph them. That was a bucket shot for me. My first stop was Talavela Beach to see the stilled fishermen. These fishermen make it look incredibly easy, but I'm sure fishing this way requires a great deal of skill and balance. Seated on a vertical crossbars with a rod, the fishermen are positioned a couple of meters above sea level, which allows them to catch without disturbing the water. Delavela seemed like a happening place with a lot of bars and restaurants right by the beach. My time in Sri Lanka was coming to an end. After 10 days of traveling from central part of Sri Lanka to the south, exploring some of the most beautiful ruins, abundant wildlife and exotic beaches, I had to say goodbye to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka really surprised me with its warm hospitality, food and nature. The more I travel, the more I realize things go wrong all the time during traveling, and that's okay. Those moments make up some good stories.